Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about all of the books that I have on my fall TBR, and it is quite ambitious, especially since I only read like a few books a month. I am really hopeful that I will get to all these books, and I realized while I was pulling them off of my TBR cart that most of the books on my TBR are like fall related or kind of feel like they would be good to read in the fall. And I think that's because that's the kind of books I like to read, and like I just love fall and I love that kind of cozy vibe, I guess. So I have quite a lot of books to talk about, and you know, we'll see how many I get to. Hopefully I can get through a lot of them this fall. I have my pumpkin candle that you cannot see, but it's burning up there. I was gonna put it like right here, and then I was scared that my hair was gonna catch on fire, so I just, it's out of the picture, but it's there. It's here in spirit, I promise. So I have them kind of broken up a little bit into genres, and then we have like miscellaneous. So we'll start with all of the kind of fantasy books that I want to read this fall. So first we have One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, and this obviously, I think it was last year that this book like really got popular, and a lot of these fantasy books especially like last year had their hype, and I'm just getting around to reading them, hopefully. But I know this one, basically there's a mist and this girl has to, oh, let me just read the back, okay? So it says, Elspeth Spindle needs more than luck to stay safe in the eerie mist-locked kingdom of Blunder. She needs a monster. She calls him the Nightmare, an ancient mercurial spirit trapped in her head. He protects her. He keeps her secrets. But nothing comes for free, especially magic. When Elspeth meets a mysterious highwayman on the forest road, her life takes a drastic turn. Thrust into a world of shadow and deception, she joins a dangerous quest to cure Blunder of the dark magic infecting it, except the highwayman just so happens to be the king's own nephew, captain of the most dangerous men in Blunder, and guilty of high treason. Wow. Sounds like fun to me. I definitely think this dark eeriness is fall, so this will be good. Then we have ACOTAR, and I was kind of reluctant to put this on the TBR, to be honest, because I'm scared to read it. It's just intimidating, the length of these books. Obviously this one's like pretty normal sized, but farther you go along in it, the bigger the books get, and that really scares me. I also really not sure exactly what this is about. I know she like kills a wolf in the woods, and then she was not supposed to do that, and so maybe she's like indebted to somebody after that, or like has to be like kept safe. Not sure if I'm gonna read that one or not. We'll see. Then we have Powerless, which I am so excited to read this. It's giving Hunger Games to me, and which is also something I need to read. Yeah, this just seems really fun. Okay, let's read this. It says Payton, thief, ordinary survivor. Kai, prince, elite, enforcer. And obviously there's romance going on between them. In my head, I understand. And it sounds really good. And I've heard a lot of good things about it. This is one that I've also heard a lot of good things about. It's one that like people say is severely underrated, so I really have no idea what this one is about at all. But there's vampires in this one, so that should be exciting. Then we have this chunk of a book. This is a brick for real. I'm scared of this book. This is the second in the Fourth Wing trilogy happening, and I honestly hadn't even heard like that good of things about this second one. So I think that's why I've been putting it off for so long. And also I wasn't the biggest fan of the first one. Meanwhile, I gave it a 4 stars. Like I definitely enjoyed it, but it was so long to me. It took me so long to get through that book, and then this book is like even bigger. Yeah, I've just been scared to read this, but I think what I'm gonna do, as since it's been so long since I've read the first one, I think I'm gonna like listen to the audiobook of the first one, and maybe even listen to the audiobook of this one just so I can at least know, because I do have this book. I'm not super intrigued or anything about, you know, finding out what happens, but since I have it, I definitely do want to read it and, you know, say I've read it, so I think I will be listening to them. Then we have Divine Rivals, which I will be reading very soon, and I am really excited about it. I know that there is like a war going on, and she ends up like trying to write letters to her brother that's in the war, but ends up writing letters to one of her rivals, like in the writing like team or whatever. Something like the typewriter is like magical, I think. I don't know. This one sounds really good, and I like that it's only a duology. Like, Like, when I hear that it's only a duology or 3 books or something, it sounds a lot better than a whole series. So I definitely will be getting to this soon. Okay, and that's on my fantasy side for the most part. So we'll go to the thrillers that I have picked out. There's Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I've read 1 book by her. None of this is true, and I loved that book. And I've heard good things about this, except the fact that it's like extremely like dark and eerie and like makes people feel weird after reading it. But I definitely do want to read this and see my opinion on it, because I definitely could go either way. Like, some things are too much for me to read, and then others I really enjoy and find them entertaining. I love thrillers, so I'm excited to see my opinion. Then we have Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, I think. Obviously, I feel like everybody knows about this book except for me, at least the movie, because that was super popular. I never read the movie, or I never read the book. I've never watched the movie, and I want to know what is so good about this, because when I talk to anybody about Gone Girl, they're like, oh my gosh, like, you have to read it, you have to watch it, it's so good. I will be reading this and seeing how I like it, and I'm excited about it, because especially since there's a movie that I can watch after. It's great. Okay, and then we have Too Late by Colleen Hoover. Cole actually got me this book like randomly, and he was like, this is Colleen Hoover and it sounded good, so I thought you'd like it. And then I read the back and I was like, wait, this does sound good. Like, it's a thriller by her, and I think this man is like chasing this girl, like is like obsessed with her and won't leave her alone. So that sounds really interesting and definitely thrilling. So we'll see. Hopefully I can get to this. Okay, and then this one I am very excited about. This is The Only One Left by Riley Sager, which I've read, I think, 1 other book by him as well, which was, what was that book called? The Lake book, The House Across the Lake. And I did really like that. I also read that book at the lake, which made it even better. And this one sounded really interesting. It was kind of giving Verity to me, because there's this girl that when she was younger, she was accused of like killing her whole family, and now she's like this older lady, and the caretaker abruptly left her, so this new girl comes in to be her caretaker. I think it's a girl, at least, I don't know. So now there's this new caretaker, and they're going to see what goes on in this house, I guess. Yeah, and I just love this cover. This looks so cool. So those are the few thrillers that I thought would be good for fall. I'm surprised I don't have more thrillers, because I really love thrillers, but I have a lot of other books, apparently, including all of these that are kind of like romance slash miscellaneous books that are definitely giving fall vibes. So we'll go through those. There's Messy Lives of Book People. I feel like this had its hype for a second and then just died down pretty quickly. I just heard a few things about it, and it just was giving like cozy vibes. I really have no idea what it's about. It kind of has the same premise as The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I think, and it just seems like a cozy book where basically this girl who had a relationship with this older lady that ended up passing away, like, is left to write the deceased lady's like final novel, I guess. Discover secrets along the way about this lady. It's taken me so long to pick this one up because I haven't heard that many good things about it, or that much stuff about it at all, but I shouldn't need a bunch of hype around a book for me to be reading it, you know? Like, I could love this book, who knows. Then we have Maybe Meant to Be by K.L. Walther. I think I've read all of her books except for this one, maybe, meaning 2 books. Have I only read 2 books by her? I don't know. Her other 2 books that I have read, I'm not sure if she has more. I loved the Summer of Broken Rules. I actually gave a 5 stars. I absolutely loved that book, as well as What Happens After Midnight. I also really enjoyed that one. I love YA. I really do. I feel like it's so like lighthearted and entertaining, and just feels like there's more of a plot in young adult romances sometimes. I hope I enjoy this one. Every time I read the back of this book, I have no idea about what's going on. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, but I think there's 2 friends that everybody thinks should end up together, but really they like other people or something. The cover just gives fall. I don't even know if this is fall vibes, but look at it. It gives fall. Then we have A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. I figured this was fall vibes because everybody was saying that I should read it in the fall. Basically, she gets thrust into her favorite romance book, which is set in like a small town, and that always gives like fall vibes, like Gilmore Girls. Yeah, and I love Ashley Poston's The 7-Year Slip. I love her writing, and so I think I'll really enjoy this, especially if I save it for fall, because people were saying that it should be read in fall. So I'm gonna give it its fair shot by reading it in fall time. Then we we have The Thursday Murder Club, which I've had on my TBR for a long time. Sounds like an interesting concept, just not too interesting for me to have picked it up by now. But I know that there's like this club of retired people who end up trying to solve a murder, I think. And I think I'm gonna be listening to this book soon because I borrowed it on Libby. And I think that'll help me get through this book. And I think I'll like it. Then I picked this one up recently and it had its buy one get one 50% off thing on it. So I picked this one up and just read the back of it because the cover is gorgeous. And I thought it sounded really interesting. I haven't really heard like many people talk about it or say their, you know, thoughts on it. But it basically follows this girl who is in a family of murderers and they date men in order to take him out, and then she finds somebody that she ends up really liking and not wanting to take out and wondering, will this cause a divide with my family? This sounds really fun to me though, and the cover is just adorable. Then we have, this is, all these books sound so weird when you're saying them, but we have Anatomy, a Love Story, which I heard Rachel Catherine talk about this and I was like, that sounds right up my alley. That sounds so interesting. And then I was talking about it with my family and like, I was like, yeah, I got this book and it's about this, and I read the synopsis and they were like, oh, it sounded good to me. Yeah, what I've gotten from it is there's this girl and she lives in a time where women aren't accepted in certain fields, and I think she wants to be a doctor. She kind of takes it upon herself to learn what she needs to know about the human anatomy, meets this man at the cemetery, and he digs up dead bodies for her, and it's a love story. I think it sounds really good, and there's two of them. The way Rachel Catherine explained it sounded really good. I am worse at explaining it. I haven't read it yet, so I got this one at Books A Million for $6.97. If y'all have a Books A Million near you, you should go and look at the like bargain section because they actually have like good books in the bargain section. So I was able to get these for pretty inexpensive. Then we have None Shall Sleep by Ellie Marney, and I have no idea what this one's about. Let me see. Okay. I'm guessing these two teenagers survived a murder situation and they're then recruited to the FBI to kind of give insight into cold cases. This is really giving The Naturals. I didn't realize this. I wonder if this is a series. There are no monsters, only people. But this definitely sounds entertaining. I probably shouldn't read this like right away because I did just finish The Naturals and I loved it. But if I love that, I'll probably love this as well because it sounds so similar. The last book that I have on my TBR is One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake. I know this one is like two families. They're like rival families in New York City, and I think they're both vampires, and there's like a romance going on between two of the kids in each family. Yeah, that's all I know about it. It is definitely giving fall and it sounds really good. I also saw her other book at Barnes & Noble and my friend was talking about how much she loved it, so I want to read that one, The Masters of Death, which, does that also follow vampires? I'm not sure. Definitely want to read Olivia Blake. I haven't read any of her books, but those two books sounds so good to me. Hopefully I can get to them this fall, as well as all of the rest of these books that I have on my TBR, because this is crazy. I hope you guys liked this video and comment down below some books that you're reading this fall. These were all the ones on my physical TBR. Obviously I have so many more in my head that I want to read, but I should prioritize ones that I already have. I hope you liked this video. If you did, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!